Okay. My heart is racing. See what happens. So yesterday I talked about boundaries, and I would like to get more in depth to that, much more in depth. All right. Sometimes you should just think before you speak. That's all this is happening. Alright. When I do these things, people tend to ask me who my audience is. Who are you trying to get to? Who do you want to hear you? And I always respond with everyone. And I always usually think that's not possible, but that's going to be this video as I'm talking to you. So, yesterday I talked about boundaries. Our actions put them up, please respect them, or our actions take them down, disrespect. And there's people in the world who are like, that's obvious, I see that. What my question is why are people going through these boundaries? Hurting the innocent. And there's people out there who are trying to understand they are, and I'm sure that the people who have done those actions want to speak out and say, this is why, please help me. But the issue is that if they admit to doing something in the past that was so harmful that it's going to make you react and assert your perceived power over them, of course they're not going to tell you. They're just not. And there's people out there who are legitimately willing to just listen and understand and help, but they don't know who those people are, because even if we allowed people, and you're probably asking, why am I saying this? The only people who can reach in and take these people out of their delusional thinking, out of their harmful actions, are the people who have done it. Because they're least likely to condemn. They're least likely to say, hey, yeah, no, you definitely deserve to die, because then that would then be saying I deserve to die, and nobody's going to admit that, because everything that's alive wants to stay alive. So they're scared. They're scared, and since they can't seek that help, they can't find that change, because you can't do something you haven't learned. If your learned action is to hurt yourself or somebody else, you can only unlearn that with the help of somebody else. And you say, well, maybe I haven't done something to hurt somebody, but why should I not be able to intervene? And in some circumstances, if you haven't committed that action, you are more than welcome to intervene. But you have to understand where they're coming from. That way you do not judge them. When I felt some type of way that was so scary, and I mean scary, I was scared to hurt me or somebody else, and I was like, who can I tell this to who's not going to be like, we need to confine, we need to solve this now, instant action, who wasn't going to act, who was just going to listen? So I had to go to a place where they are legally required to just listen, and that was the hospital. But had I felt there was a safe place for this, it probably would have happened a lot sooner. If I knew there was a community out there who felt that same way, and I could go to them and be honest about it, and I'm going to explain examples of these, I am. It's you may ask, why do people think it's okay to go into somebody else's boundary? in a way that scares us so much because we're like, that's obviously shouldn't happen. Why do they think that's okay? And I'm going to tell you this right now. They do not think it's okay. They don't think it's okay. Before that first step of crossing that boundary, it's a thought. And I can tell you exactly what that thought is that they do before they do that. It's curiosity. It is. And it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. But if you're willing to look at a story with me about the first time that we may know of that somebody said, this is my boundary, please respect it. And the first time somebody went, okay, it was the first time from what a group of people perceive, and some people think of it as just a story. However you think of this, just please be willing to sit and understand what I'm saying. God came to earth in this story, made earth, and lived among people. And his first boundary of please respect this was, please don't eat that apple. Boop. Not a big deal. It's food. It's nothing. It was probably not a special magic apple. If he was just saying, hey, you could do whatever you want, please just don't do this. And then what happened was curiosity. Why doesn't he want me to do that? What is he hiding? Okay, so now you've done this first action. You haven't ate the apple yet. You have the apple, right? You have it. And you're feeling some type of way. He didn't see me. You feel power. That's where it started. That's where it started, guys. That feeling of power, curiosity, power. And then when you feel that power, you don't want to let it go. So you keep doing this action. And then there's consequences. That was the first consequence. First consequence. You know, the guy came back. He's like, something doesn't look out here. A boundary's up. A boundary got put up. That was the first boundary. I think that's when the guy knew was like, oh shit. Like, they can't respect a simple, please don't do this. That's in their nature. They are those people who are going to be like, oh, what? Ah. It's like, so he was like, I'm out. Like, I can't. Because when you get to that point, there's no controlling. There's no. And even for him, I don't think he could. He was like, oh no, they know. They know what power feels like. They're going to fiend for it. They're going to fight for it. And there's nothing I can do to stop that. There's nothing any of us can do to stop that. So he was like, I'm going to be up there. Like, do you. I'm going to try to help you, but from a distance because I don't want to be hurt. Like, that probably hurt his heart. He was just like, hey, I gave you all this. Please don't do this. And you're like, hee. And then, yeah, it just started going crazy from there. Am I saying this is how the world started? I don't know. But it's a good story, guys. It's got meaning. Just stop thinking about all the magic. Like, of course, magic makes me like, ooh. It was just an apple. The curiosity was just a snake. Our actions were the power. And the clothes were the boundary. And what happened afterwards was the consequences. Like, and is it fair that we have to deal with these consequences? No, but I think that it wasn't him doing that. It was always our nature to do that. It really was. Like, had they not taken that apple, the curiosity, like, it would have always been there. They always wondered, like, eh. And they'd still always be curious. But the thing is, that person would have still been there to have been like, hey, I can just tell you. You don't have to be curious. If you literally probably just asked the guy, hey, why can't I do that? He'd probably just be like, because I'm just showing you something. And then you'd be like, what? And the curiosity would continue. But you'd have that person there to ask. And we put up that boundary. We did. And I know some people are like, ugh, God's not even real. Or like, yeah, God. And it's not either of those things for me. It's really not. It's like, it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. If believing in that, like, that is fact, that happen. If believing in that makes you want to be a better person, then use that. But don't push that on somebody else to make them a better person, because that's when we're like, if not believing makes you want to be a better person because you feel like I don't have to be a good person just because somebody else told me to, then more power to you. Be a good person, but don't tell somebody else you're wrong. I can be a good person without believing, so why do you have to believe? It's like, just let people live their life. It's okay to discuss it. Oh yes, the pursuit of knowledge is amazing. It's totally cool to discuss it, but like, check your feelings. So, alright. So I'm going to explain why in this environment we cannot be us. It's unacceptable. Can't happen. My actions make you feel some type of way. And at this point, you've probably gotten to the point where you're like, I kind of care about this person. I care about what they do. I have the right to say something right now. Hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Focus on how you feel about what I'm doing. Is it making you uncomfortable? Was my action of putting on glasses making you feel some type of way? Like, oh, she's trying to look smart. She wants us to hear her. It's me picking up this cigarette. Now make you think I'm dumb. You can't listen to me anymore? Okay. So now, you're feeling some type of way. And the next thing after the feeling is the action. Speaking. I should tell her that she shouldn't be smoking. I'm gonna let her know that it's not good for her health. I'm gonna tell her. And I'm gonna listen. Because you have the right to say it. And I'm gonna listen. Because if you care about my health, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your support. But I do know. I know this is hurting me. I know this is going to cut my life sooner. I know these things because I've been told these things. But the only way that I'm probably ever going to realistically be able to get rid of my addictions is to be able to talk to somebody who's been there and said, this is how I did it. And the more people I can hear that from, the more likely I'm going to get that answer that I'm like, I could do that. I've never thought about that. But since I was willing to listen to you, now I can let go of this addiction. Boop. I don't need it. Because I was willing and able to tell you that I do this, and then listen to how you feel about it, and why you think I shouldn't do it. And then I was like, you're right. Because that's a possibility, guys. And that's with literally any action that we ourselves see as negative. And yes, I say negative because it makes you feel negative. When you see these things, you're like, it doesn't need to happen. That's hurting somebody. I just want it to stop. Just want it to stop. But the person doing it is like, I don't feel right. I need help. I can't stop doing this. But I can't talk to anybody because they might attack me. Smoke. And I mean the actions that you deem the most unacceptable. They probably are tired of doing it too. And I want to be open with those things. And the thing is, it's so radical to the point where you have to be able to accept these actions that they happened. And there's nothing we can do about that at this point. It happened. So condemning people and saying you did this, so now this is going to happen, isn't going to get them better. It's not. It's going to make them feel like, I've done this. I can't say anything because no matter how bad I want to stop, I'm going to be put to death. I'm going to be imprisoned. They're going to attack me. So I'm just going to be quiet. I feel bad now, so I'm just going to go do what I know. Feel that power again. It's like, that's sad. It's sad. The people who hurt other people, like, that's sad for them too. Like, and it's not an excuse. It's really not. But they didn't just get there. They just, I'm gonna hurt this person. I like killing people. Like, and it's happening sooner and sooner. And I can explain to you why that's happening sooner and sooner. But it's like, there's got to be an end, guys. It's got to end. So, if I use the word sin, because it's just a simple word for me to say something like what a sin is any action that causes another person harm. For me, that's all it is. Like, it's just like, it's not condemning you. It's just your actions causing somebody else harm. For me, the easiest way to say like, hey, whoop, that's a sin. Like, but I would never judge you for it because I've caused other people harm. My actions have caused other people harm. I was able to seek help though, and can continue to do so if I for some reason feel like that again. I'm not saying that's the last time I'm ever going to pick up a cigarette. It might not be. But I do hope one day that I can just stop because it doesn't make me feel good. Everything we think makes us feel good doesn't make us feel good. And that's something we have to learn and understand. And we have to be able to understand that some people just, that's the best they can feel right now. And it's sad. So, the only way to solve these problems is to open a line of communication and allow people the freedom to communicate these things without us feeling the need to assert our will over them. It's the only way. So, the reason I feel like things are getting so confusing and like, what's going on? Is like, because the innocent are being involved at this point. Because the boundaries have gotten so compacted, right? That we're teaching our kids, you have to put this boundary up, because if you don't, you will get hurt. Please just learn these boundaries. And these kids are like, I don't know what to do. I learned this boundary. That's the only thing I heard. So now, right? It's like, it's fear. It's fear. And it's not our fault that this it's our fault, but it's not our fault. Like, all this stuff is happening out of fear. We're letting it control us. So when we're talking about trying to get an infant to understand the concept of consent, everybody's like, some people are like, some are like, that kind of makes sense. I could see like how them knowing sooner would be better because somebody's going to break into something that doesn't have a boundary. And that's what makes people so uncomfortable, guys, is that that thing that you are taking power over doesn't have a boundary. So your perceived power is delusional because you've done nothing to show strength. You took advantage. You asserted your power over something that literally can't be like, nah. That's what makes people uncomfortable. And I understand that you getting to that point started with a curious thought. And for some people, you're like, what the fuck? See, notice how you're feeling when I'm saying these things. You got to notice, you got to focus on how you're feeling, and then you have to think before you react. You do. Ultimately, like, the best mindset that we could be in, which is going to sound absurd, is if I meet somebody whose reaction is murder, like, that's what they do, that's what they know, that's what makes them feel powerful. If I meet this person, I don't want them to have to hide that. And it's like, I understand why they do. That action makes us so uncomfortable. But I want them to be able to be like, hey, I keep doing this. I don't know how to stop. And that if, like, that we can stand by them to the point that when they're starting to feel I need to feel that power again, they want to commit that action, but I'm close enough to them that I can be like, hey, can we talk about it first? I'm not going to condemn you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to confine you. Can we just talk about it first? And then if they do happen to commit that action again, knowing that since I was there to listen, that they can come and be like, hey, I did this again. I don't know how to stop. And you're like, at what point do we be like, okay, you just are not getting this. We have to confine you. And it's like, is there really... It's a hard concept to just be like accepting the people who perceive power while simultaneously trying to defend the innocent without direct physical intervention. It's such a weird concept to grasp. And it's scary because you're like, if they can't get it, I have to watch them. They're going to keep hurting people. Like, so if that's the world that we're going to end up living in, then you need to keep those near you close, is all I can say. Like, if something matters to you and only you can protect it, then you do that. You know, like, that's so much work. And it is so much work. That's why I'm not having kids. It's a lot of work. If I had kids, they would be on my hip all the time. Because I know that I would not hurt them. I don't know if somebody else would. I trust people not to, and we trust people, and that's totally okay. But there's going to be that person who's learned a bad habit, a negative habit, that is going to hurt somebody who can't protect themselves. So yes, I'd keep them on my hip until they were able to defend themselves, and I don't think that is until they're probably about 18. Honestly, I would teach them that when your parent is around other adults, just watch. You don't need to speak. You don't need to develop those connections with adults, but you can still connect with them by just listening. Like, teach them how to listen at a young age. And, like, just teach them, you know? But don't make them have to start enforcing boundaries at such a young age. I understand the concept. It just... When I speak boundaries, even adults are like, that's a lot of information, right? And we're trying to teach these to kids who just learned the word mom and dad. Like, we give kids way too much credit. They're just learning how to speak, and we're sitting there trying to tell them, this guy's going to hurt you, so you need to be able to be like, ah! It's like, and the kid is now like, oh my gosh, monsters are going to come through my window. I need this thing that I see that will protect me. It all happens for a reason. And we have to be willing to take like responsibility for our part in that, even if you feel like it was nothing. Like, I didn't do anything. We have to be willing to forgive those who have harmed us and harmed others. And you're like, I can't do that. They hurt me so bad. Like, it's possible though. And what I'd like you to know is that when you forgive this person, it's not telling them that what they did was acceptable. It's honestly you taking your power back and saying, I'm not going to let you have power over me anymore. You know? There was this experience I had, again, where I asked for help. I made myself vulnerable. I put down all of my boundaries and trusted people. They violated that. One person violated that. The 15 people around me who helped me and taught me and comforted me and accepted me, like, they appreciate you. But that one person who was like, oh, this person has no boundaries. I feel like crap. I need to feel power. I'm going to feel power because it made me feel that before. And I recognize that that's what happened. And yeah, they violated me. I don't accept that it happened, but I forgive that it happened. And even, yeah, I accept that it happened. I do. And I hope that this person has sought help, you know, and stopped doing that. Because it took me 7 years to finally be like, I'm gonna let this go. And that was too long. Had that not happened, had I just been able to just get the help in that moment, maybe I would have been okay sooner. So that's his consequence. But it's not gonna be something that controls my life anymore. And that's the point that I hope that we can all get to, because I feel freer. I do. When I think about that instance now, I don't feel it anymore. Like, it's not like it just happened anymore. It's just something that happened. This is a lot. And I understand that feeling some type of way is going to happen, because just talking about it, I feel some type of way. But we have got to think before we act. And we have to open the line of communication, because there are those people out there who have done these things, sought help, sought redemption, and are trying to teach others that, hey, you can get out of this. They are out there. They are out there, and I know them because I've met them. But they feel like they have to confine who they were so that they're not judged and condemned for something that they know is not a part of them anymore. We have got to let these people out of those rooms so that they can go find the people who are still hiding and saying, I need help. And we have to give them the opportunity to be like, I got you. I'm here for you. And the only way they're going to find those people, if those people still doing this, are able to say, I'm doing this, please help me. It's the only way. And I'm talking about the most severe, that made me feel some type of way. It's possible to make it stop. It is. And me being that person who, and I'm talking to you, me being that person who's like, I'm seeing you do this, I want to help you. If you were to tell me these things, I would not turn you in. I don't want someone else to assert their power over you because I'm afraid of you. And I hope that they get to the point that, there's a lot of people out there who are willing to just listen to you and help you. Not everybody wants to assert their power over you. You gotta find the people who are going to do that and kind of avoid that until they also learn that just radical acceptance is the answer. So we'll get there. I know we will. People have been trying since forever. Everyone that we perceive as gods and like amazing people in our past, they were just trying to get you there. We'll get there eventually. Or we won't. Or we won't. And if we don't, like, maybe we'll try again. But I'm deciding to just have a great time doing it. When I see the pain, it hurts my heart. My instant reaction is to directly intervene, to act. But honestly, the only action I can really do if I see somebody else in pain, like if I actively witness it right now, is just to stand between them, Be willing to sacrifice my safety to be like, hey, my boundary's I'm a little stronger. I'm going to stand between this victim and the aggressor and be like, whoop, whoop, let's talk about this. Before you touch this person, we're going to talk about this. That's the only way. That's the only way. I want to do that, and other people want to do that. And it's scary because sometimes your need for power feels so great that me being like, whoop, I'm not gonna let you do this, and you're gonna be like, fuck you. Like, and I'm gonna be like, oh man. And that's when you gotta hope there's somebody right behind me who's be like, boop. Nope. Let's talk about this. And they can only do that for so long, guys. So eventually they're gonna be like, okay, what? Like, let's just give them that opportunity.